Hello again. Welcome back to my study. I hope you're having a fantastic day and I hope you're getting into the holiday spirit. If not, this should jumpstart that for you. So, a little bit of a story for this one. At my church, they're swapping out hymnals. And so, Father said, take as many as you want. Take one, take 10. I took him up on that. I took 7. I'm ashamed to admit. I'm something of a bibliophile. I love books. And this one is very appealing to me. It's just so beautifully bound. I wish I could show you. Probably wouldn't show up on camera, but there's beautiful depictions of different stages of salvation history, if you will, in here, and it's sort of ingrained or like imprinted into the cover. So lovely, lovely edition. Figured I could give some away as gifts. Could retain some for psalm sings around the house. I even have fantasies of all of my children one day singing them these beautiful hymns before dinner or something like that. So I was perusing it and I came across one which I thought was really interesting. First of all, it's an old hymn, not very old, but the best hymns are old, and it's dated to the kind of the turn of the 20th century. It's by a man named Theodore Baker. Apparently he studied in Germany under some of the greats, which explains a lot because this is a very profound work. I've found, and I don't know if this is your experience, but during Mass, I'm listening to the hymns and sometimes I'm ashamed to admit I tune it out. Or I'm singing and I'm just not really paying attention to the words as I should. But if you do pay attention to the words, sometimes you're struck with how profound they are. Sometimes I think the people who write hymns have a leg up on just ordinary poets because, one, they've got the music to add a layer of depth and complexity, even suspense sometimes, to the work, but also they're writing about like strictly religious things. They're writing about the love of God, or about encouraging the faithful in some way, and I think God gives an extra measure of grace to those sort of endeavors that poets sometimes just don't get. I think in my own writings, my religious works are the superior, and that's not saying much, but there it is. I do think that God gives an extra bit of grace to those people who are trying to magnify or highlight some attribute of His, or some snippet of salvation history. And we're going to see a little bit of that today, okay? So I mentioned that this is going to get you in the holiday spirit. This is very much a nativity hymn, but it's a unique one because it compares Christ to a rose. It's alluding to Isaiah 11:1, where out of the root or stump of Jesse will come a shoot. That shoot is, of course, Jesus. But that shoot here is a rose, which I think is kind of a fitting poetic portrayal. I'm okay with that poetic liberty that he takes, because he is, of course, we don't think about this in the nativity because he's just a babe, but he is our groom, and we are his bride. And what's more fitting to give a bride than a rose? And so this is the moment where that rose first buds, and we get to be there, we get to see it. And he kind of paints that picture. So I'm going to read it for you. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing. Nobody wants that, trust me. And I hope I can do justice to it without that. I'll try to keep the meter as best I can, but I hope you'll give me some grace if not. Okay. So here we go. It's called Lo, How a Rose Ever Blooming. Lo, how a rose ever blooming from tender stem hath sprung, of Jesse's lineage coming, as seers of old have sung. It came a blossoming bright amid the cold of winter, when half spent was the night. Isaiah 'twas foretold it, the rose I have in mind. With Mary we behold it, the Virgin Mother kind. To show God's love aright, she bore to us a Savior, when half spent was the night. O flower whose fragrance tender with sweetness fills the air, dispel in glorious splendor the darkness everywhere. True man, yet very God, true man, yet very God, from sin and death now save us, and share our every load. I butchered the ending there, but you get the point. This is again talking about Christ being that rose that's blooming from tender stem. And it's sprung. I mean, you can feel the excitement in that verse. It's sprung. And then of Jesse's lineage coming, of course, because this is from the root of Jesse, seers of old have sung. And so it's talking about the prophet Isaiah, mentions him explicitly. And it says that with Mary, we behold it. We behold this rose with the virgin mother kind. And it's to show God's love aright. She bore to us a Savior when half spent was the night. It kind of takes you through that night in which Christ was born, and it places you inside of that that scene. And then my favorite, series of lines is this last one. O flower whose fragrance tender with sweetness fills the air, dispel in glorious splendor the darkness everywhere. You can see him as that light. I'm of the opinion that the star over Bethlehem was an angel. I think it's very clear that angels and stars are tied, if not in authority or dominion, then perhaps in literally, stars are represented by angels or vice versa. And that star is not just an angel, although I think it is, but it's also a symbol of Christ and the light that he is, and he brings this light down to earth, so that star comes to rest over the nativity, where then it explodes forth. There's a sort of supernova, this shedding forth of light, which works retroactively and then of course into the future to illumine all mankind for all of time. And so that's what we're experiencing here. True man, yet very God. This is almost a creed. It's so beautiful. From sin and death, now save us. There's a plea here. Now please save us and share our every load. And we're taken right back to the Gospels. His burden is light, his yoke is easy. We are to take on Christ, and then he takes on us, right? We assume him into our person. He's in us, with us, working through us, all right? This should be ringing some Eucharistic bells. So we take him in, and then he, of course, takes us on his back. Very much representative of him taking the cross on his back. Okay, we take up our cross daily in mimicry of him, and that burden becomes lighter and lighter each day that we follow him. So it's a wonderful little poem. I hope you like it, and I hope that it stimulates some of this some of the festivity of this season. Do drop in the comments if you're watching towards the end, and let me know which hymns are your favorite, and if you want me to review any of them and break them down here on this channel. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. I'm going to be seeing you again probably in a couple days. So till then, God bless you.